Shalom again, family, and welcome back to discuss another episode of what calendar was used in the Old and the New Testament. Was it a lunar calendar, a solar calendar, or even a Roman calendar? Today's message is presented by me, Yakanina, and it's sponsored by the House of Shiloh Ministries. We're going to continue today in our message in part 3. As we do a slight overview here, in part 1, we talked about the origin of time, which we discovered was in Genesis chapter 1. We talked about the definition of a solar calendar, how the mathematical laws of Elohim are static, they're not dynamic, which means when he gives a law and says this is the way the sun operates, this is the way the moon operates, that law does not change. We also learned that he has appointed times for monumental events to take place. And we discovered this that these times are on his holy days. So discerning what calendar we should use to determine the holy days are pivotal for us so that we can be in sync with his schedule. We looked at the book of Enoch, the book of Jubilee, the Dead Sea Scrolls. We looked at all three of those books, and they all agree on that there was a solar calendar used. They agree on how a solar calendar should be computed. In the Holy Bible, we looked at scriptures that reference these apocryphal books. And the reason we did this is because many people say that these apocryphal books should not be read or viewed. But if the apocryphal books were heretical, why would the apostles, the disciples of Yahushua, be making references to these books? Why would they do that if these books were not seen as a viable source of information? So that's something to think about. In part 2, we also talked about the references in the Holy Bible, correcting new moon misconceptions. And in part 3, which is where we're going to begin today, we're going to discuss the laws of the luminaries. So this is where we're going to start. These are the remaining topics that we have to complete this whole series of lessons. And I think we might finish this in part 4. Just a reminder, the focus of this lesson is to determine which calendar we should use to calculate our dates for holy days, for us to biblically demonstrate the use of a solar calendar throughout the Bible. The Bible does make mention of it. You just have to know where to find it. And we're going to provide a step-by-step instruction on how to use the solar calendar for determining Yahuwah's appointed holy days. And the last one, we're going to highlight the reason why the Roman calendar was adjusted to closely synchronize with the solar calendar. This one I think is going to be very surprising to many of you. Okay, let's begin. Laws of the Luminaries. Chapter 72. Book on the motion of the luminaries of the heaven, how each one of them stands in relation to their number, to their powers and their times, to their names and their origins and their months, as the holy angel Uriel, who is their leader, showed to me when he was with me. And he showed to me their whole description as they are, and for the years of the world through eternity, until the creation will be made anew to last forever. This is the first law of the luminaries. The light, called sun, has its exit among the gates of heaven in the east, and it sets among the gates of heaven in the west. So this is a static law. This law says that the sun will forever rise in the east and forever set in the west. They won't switch places. The sun will not rise in the west and set in the east. Okay? Verse 3. And I saw 6 gates from which the sun rises, and 6 gates where the sun sets. And also the moon rises and sets in these gates. as well as the leaders of the stars together with those which they lead. 6 gates are in the east and 6 in the west, and all of them are arranged in sequence. What does this mean? It means that gates 1 through 6 are in numerical order, and the sun proceeds through those gates in numerical order. It doesn't come in on gate 1 and then exit out on gate 6. The sun proceeds through these gates in numerical order. And there are many windows to the right and to the left on these gates. And first comes out the great light called sun, and its roundness as the roundness of heaven, and it is all filled with fire that illuminates and heats, and the chariot in which it rises, the winds drive. And the sun goes down from the heaven, and it turns toward north in order to travel toward the east, and it is guided in such a way that it enters in the proper gate and shines again in heaven. In this way, the sun emerges in the first month from the great gate, the fourth gate of these 6 gates in the east. And in this fourth gate, from which the sun emerges in the first month, there are 12 window openings from which flames come forth when these windows are open in their proper times. I'd like to guide your attention to a supporting scripture that's found in the book of Jubilee, chapter 2, verse 8. And it says, on the fourth day, he created the sun and the moon and the stars, and set them in the firmament of the heaven, to give light upon all the earth, and to rule over the day and the night, and divide the light from the darkness. And Elohim appointed the sun, not the moon, but the sun, to be a great sign on earth for days, and for Sabbaths, and for months, and for feasts, and for years, and for Sabbaths of years, and for jubilees, and for all seasons of the years. So you see in Jubilee chapter 2, also in Enoch chapter 72, they are both saying the same thing. They are both saying the same thing, because I believe that the fourth day is the reason why the sun is coming through the fourth gate at the first of the month. So when the month begins, which is March, because remember, Yahuwah begins his calendar in the springtime when things are being born and blooming. Okay, so the first month is March, and the sun called the bright luminary is called the great illuminary. It comes through the great gate, which is the fourth gate. It comes through the fourth gate because the sun, moon, and stars were created on the fourth day. Okay, verse 7. And in this fourth gate, from which the sun emerges in the first month, there are 12 window openings, from which flames come forth from when these windows are open in their proper times. So there are 12 window openings within these gates, and each window emits light to the sun, so the sun can give its light upon the earth. And another reason, as we discussed, I think it was in part 2, that Jehovah's laws are static and not dynamic, is because there is a law that says the sun has to remain the distance that it is from the earth, because if the sun were to come a couple of feet closer or less, we could burn up. And if it were to move away a couple of feet, we could freeze. So the laws that Yahuwah has put in place for the luminaries must remain 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, every day for eternity, until the creation of a new heaven. Okay. So what we're about to do now is discuss how the sun operates when it's about to begin the first month of the year. We're going to go through every month from March, which you see on the screen, all the way up through February. It's going to outline how the sun operates in each gate every month. Are you ready? Okay. The word March, you'll see, is italicized. That's because if you look in the book of Enoch in chapter 72 in verse 8, you will not see the word March. I put that there so that it will help you understand when you're reading these verses which month it's talking about. I think it makes reading this a lot easier. So I inserted the months. Just wanted to put that there. Just wanted to highlight that. Okay, March. When the sun rises from the heavens, he comes out of that fourth portal. How long does he do it for? 30 mornings. And descends directly into the fourth western portal of heaven. And in those days, the day is daily lengthened and the nights nightly shortened to the 30th morning. And in that day, the day is 2 parts longer than the night, and the day is exactly 10 parts, and the night 8 parts. Some of this might not make sense to you right now, but hang in there with me because although we're going through a basic foundation, we're setting a foundation right now, we're getting the principles of how it operates. I do have illustrations further on in the lesson for you to put the principles with the illustration, which I think is going to solidify this in your mind. So don't be put off if this is not, you know, resonating with you right now. It's okay because I'm going to pull it all together for you. All right. So in March, the sun comes through the fourth gate or the fourth portal. Okay. And it rises and sets in the fourth portal for 30 mornings. All right. April. And the sun comes forth from this portal and sets in the fourth and returns to the fifth portal of the east 30 mornings. So now in April, the sun is in the fifth portal for 30 mornings, and it comes forth from it and descends into the fifth portal. From then on, the day is lengthened 2 parts, and the day is 11 parts, and the night is shortened and is 7 parts. Now we're in the month of May, and the sun returns to the east and goes into the sixth portal. Notice that these are in sequential order, right? The sun is moving through the gates in numerical order and comes forth and descends into the sixth portal. This one is done 31 mornings on account of its sign. And on that day, the day is longer than the night, and the day will be double the night, and the day is 12 parts, and the night is shorter and is 6 parts. You might be asking yourself the question, why is it 31 mornings in the month of May? And there are not 31 mornings in the month of March or April. Well, it tells you here it's on account of his sign. So what sign is this? The sign is the 31st day in May. The 31st day is an intercalary day. And an intercalary day is a day that indicates that a change of season is taking place. So in May, by the time you get to the 31st day, you are shifting from the spring season and you're going into the summer season. So there's an intercalary day there letting you know that there is a change in season about to take place. And you will see this again. We're in the month of June. So now we're in summer. And the sun is raised so that the day is shortened and the night is lengthened. And the sun returns to the east and enters the sixth portal. Whenever there's intercalary day, the sun uses that same portal again for 30 mornings. So the sun returns to the east and enters the sixth portal and rises from it and sets 30 mornings. And when the 30 mornings are completed, the day diminishes by exactly 1 part, and the day is 11 parts, and the night is 7 parts. Now we're in the month of July, and the sun comes forth from this sixth portal and the west, in the west and goes to the east and rises in the fifth portal, 30 mornings, and sets in the west again in the fifth portal. On that day, the day diminishes 2 parts, and the day will be 10 parts, and the night 8 parts. Now we're in the month of August. And the sun comes forth from that fifth portal and descends into the fifth portal of the west and rises in the fourth portal. On account of its sign, 31 mornings, and descends in the west. On that day, the day is equal to the night and becomes equal. And I put in parentheses, this is the fall equinox, and the night is 9 parts and the day is 9 parts. So we see in the month of August, there are 31 mornings for the sun to enter through that fourth portal. And why is it 31? Because there is an intercalary day there, indicating that we are about to change seasons. We're going from the season of summer into the season of fall. Okay. Now we're in the month of September. And the sun comes forth from that portal, and it sets in the west and returns to the east, and comes forth from the third portal, 30 mornings, and sets in the west in the third portal. And on that day the night is longer than the day to the 30th morning, and the day becomes shorter daily to the 30th morning, and the night is exactly 10 parts, and the day 8 parts. Now we're in October. And the sun comes forth from that third portal and sets in the third portal in the west and returns to the east. And the sun goes into the second portal of the east, 30 mornings. And in like manner into the second portal in the west of the heavens. And on that day the night is 11 parts and the day 7 parts. Just to reiterate again, we are getting our foundation. We're understanding the principles of how the calendar operates. And then I'm going to give you some visual illustrations, which I really think is going to drive this home for you. So hang with me, okay? Now we're in November. We're in November. And the sun comes forth on that day from the second portal and descends in the west into the second portal and returns to the east in the first portal, 31 mornings, and descends into the west into the first portal. And on that day the night will be so long that it will be the double of the day. And the night is exactly 12 parts and the day is 6 parts. Notice again, we have 31 mornings here on account of its sign. And what's the sign? We are about to shift into a new season. And what season will this be? We're shifting now from the fall season, into the winter season. Okay, the month of December. And with that, the sun has completed his stations, and he again returns to his station and enters in this portal 30 mornings. He rises and sets opposite it in the west, and on that day the night diminishes in length by 1 part, and it's 11 parts, and the day 7 parts. Now we're in January. We're almost there. Okay. And the sun returns and goes into the second portal of the east and returns to his course 30 mornings, rising and setting. And on that day, the night diminishes in length, and the night is 10 parts, and the day 8 parts. And the last month of the year is February on the solar calendar, not the Gregorian or the Roman calendar, but the solar calendar. February, and on that day the sun comes forth from the second portal and descends in the west and returns to the east and rises in the third portal, 31 mornings, and sits in the west of the heavens. And on that day the night is shortened and is in 9 parts, and the day is 9 parts. And the night is equal with the day. This is called the spring equinox, and the year has exactly 364 days. So we just went through March through February, showing you how the sun rises and sets in each portal. Notice that in the last month in February, the sun ends in the third portal. And that's because it's going to begin again in March, which is the first month, and it's going to start in what's called the Great Gate, which will be the fourth portal. And that's because they are in sequential order, in numerical order. Okay. And the length of the day and of the night, and the shortness of the day and of the night, by the course of the sun, they are made, separated. Notice it says by the course of the sun, not the moon. They are made separated. On that account, the day course becomes longer daily and the night course shorter nightly. And this is the law and the course of the sun and his return when he returns. 60 times 1 month he returns and comes out. That is the great eternal luminary, which is called the sun to all eternity. And that which thus ascends is the great luminary, as it is called on account of its appearance, according to the command of YAHUAH. And thus he ascends and descends, and is not diminished, and does not rest, but runs day and night in his chariot, and his light shines 7 times stronger than that of the moon. And as regards size, they are both equal. So notice in verse 37, it says that this law continues. It doesn't diminish, doesn't change, and it doesn't stop. It doesn't rest, but it runs day and night. It continues forever. So I wanted you to take note at the bottom where it says the Roman calendar is 365.25, or I think 366 if it's a leap year. These are annual days. And if we were to use the Roman calendar, it would result in a shift in the dates of the holy days every year. If we were to use the days of the Roman calendar, 365 or 366, versus what YAHUAH is asking us to use 364. Yes, that one day, 1 or 2 days makes a difference in how the days land moving forward throughout the years. And I believe when we begin our illustrations, I think you'll see that. Okay. The leaders of the chiefs of the thousands, which are appointed over the whole creation and upon all the stars, are counted together with the 4 leaders of the seasons. The 4 leaders of the seasons are the intercalary days. Remember, we talked about that. Every time that we're going to shift season, there is an intercalary day there first, and then the next day is the beginning of that season. Okay. They do not leave from their fixed station. It's not dynamic, which means it's always at that spot, at that location. They do not leave from the fixed stations according to the reckoning of the year. And remember, the reckoning of the year is 364 days. And they render service on the 4 days, which are not counted in the reckoning of the year. Let me explain that just briefly. When you multiply 30 days a month, which is how the solar calendar is calculated, 30 times 12 is 360. And then you have the 4 intercalary days. And when you add the 360 plus 4, then you get 364. So in the calendar, the 4 intercalary days are noticed. They are taken note of, but they are not part of the counting. And you will see this demonstration as we move forward. Okay, verse 2. On this account, people err in them, for those luminaries scrupulously render service to the fixed positions in the cosmos, one in the first gate of heaven, one in the third, one in the fourth, one in the fifth, and one in the sixth. In this manner, the year is completed scrupulously in 364 fixed stations of the cosmos. If the stations are fixed, that means every year when it comes around, that means the time is fixed. It does not shift or alternate. And this is something that Yahuwah is wanting to, for us to accept, for us to recognize. Okay? I hope this is making sense. All right. What we're looking at is a solar calendar. Notice there are 4 seasons, starting from the left: spring, summer, fall, and winter. I also want you to notice that each row has 3 months. It's indicating that each season is 3 months. And each month has 30 days. Notice the highlighted part in spring. The 30th day is highlighted. The next month is highlighted, which will be April. The next month is highlighted, which will be May. And watch this. Now comes the intercalary day. That's the 31st day. Do you see that? Remember the written laws we just read? So now you're seeing a demonstration of where the intercalary day comes. So the months have 30 days each month: March, April, and May. But you add an intercalary day there, indicating that we're about to shift from spring to summer. So summer is counted the same way. There are 30 days in June, July, and August, and then there is an intercalary day right here indicating that we're shifting from summer to fall. Okay, there are 30 days in September, October, November, and then there's the 31st intercalary day, indicating we're shifting to a new season from fall to winter. And then there's the 30 days in December, 30 days in January, 30 days in February. Notice February has 30 days, not 28, not 27, 30. If this were a Roman calendar, that would be different. But there are 30 days in February. And the 31st day is an intercalary day. And what is it going to indicate? It's going to indicate that we are shifting seasons and we're going back into spring. Feel free to pause right now, screenshot this for your future references if you so desire. Okay, this is another illustration showing the same thing but in a different way. I'm believing that if you look at this from different perspectives, all of it will solidify how this operates in your mind. So what you're looking at are 4 months, starting with spring, noticing that the sun comes through the 4th gate, beginning with March. March is the first month. Notice that each month has 30 days. March, April, which is the second month, has 30 days. May, the sun is in the 6th gate, has 31 days. Why? It's because there's about to become a change of seasons. And remember, each season has 3 months. There are 3 months here. So we have an intercalary day here, indicating that we're shifting from spring to summer. So now we have the 6th gate again, because when there's an intercalary day, it stays in that same gate that it was in. So it was in the 6th gate in May. It's going to spend another 30 days in the 6th gate in the month of June because it's the beginning of summer. You have 30 days also in July, and you have 31 days in August. And why is that? Because there is an intercalary day there, indicating that we're shifting from summer to fall. Okay, so we have September. September on the solar calendar is the seventh month. There are 30 days in September, 30 days in October. There are 31 days here in November. Why is that? It's because there's an intercalary day here, indicating that we are shifting from fall to winter. Okay, so notice that the sun is still in the first gate because of this intercalary day. All right, here we go. 30 days in winter, 30 days in January, 31 days in February. Why are there 31 days here? Because there's an intercalary day here, indicating that we're going back to spring. And this cycle continues every year, fixed every year until eternity. Pause a moment, screenshot this, and continue to look at it until you have a great understanding of it. If there are any questions about this that I haven't answered, feel free to email me at info at houseofshiloh.org. Okay? And we'll get back with you as quickly as possible. This is another illustration saying the same thing, just shown differently. Notice at the top, it begins with the month. We're going from from left to right. We have the month, the gate, the duration, how long it's in the gate. That's what the duration means. The maximum light for the day and the maximum night for that day. Not day, for that month. Forgive me, for that month. So let's begin with March. You'll see that the gate, it's being used by the sun, and March is gate number 4, which is what was described to you in the book of Enoch. It's going to stay in that gate 30 days. The maximum light per day for the whole month is 10 hours of light in the day, 8 hours of light at night. For April, the sun has moved into the 5th gate. It's in that gate for 30 days. The maximum amount of light is 11 hours for light and 7 hours for the night. In May, the sun shifts into the 6th gate, number 6, and it has an intercalary day. It's 31 because it's about to shift to the summer season, which is why you see the numbers increasing for light and decreasing for night. Okay, so the maximum light is 12 and and the maximum night is 6. Now we're in the month of June. We're in the 6th gate, 30-day duration, maximum light 11, maximum night 7. In the month of July, you are in the 5th gate, duration 30 days, maximum light 10, maximum night 8. If you notice, the numbers are about to descend now, and the reason is because we're going towards the fall. That's why in August, the sun is in gate number 4. The duration is 31 days. Why? There's an intercalary day there indicating that we are moving from the summer season going into the fall season. Maximum light is 9. The maximum night is 9. September. The sun is in the 3rd gate, 30 days. The maximum light is 8. The maximum night is 10. October is in the 2nd gate, 30 days. Maximum light is 7. Maximum night is 11. November, it's in gate number 1. It's there for 31 days. It's an intercalary day, indicating a change in season. 6 light, 6 and 12 night. That's November. Now December, you see, is in the 1st gate. It has gone through the 1st gate for 30 days. The maximum light is 7 hours, and the maximum night is 11. Now we're on January the 2nd. I'm sorry, January the 2nd gate, and we have 30 days, 8 hours of maximum light, 10 hours of maximum night. And we have the last month, which is February. It's in the third gate, and there are 31 days for this one because there is an intercalary day that's right there. It's indicating that we are shifting seasons. We're leaving winter, going into spring. Maximum light is 9 hours. Maximum night is 9 hours. And you will notice that this is the spring equinox. This is for spring equinox where you see February where you have the equal day and equal night. That's the spring equinox. Okay. All right. What you're looking at in this computation is this. You might have noticed that the maximum number of hours on the solar calendar is 18 hours in a day. For example, if you look at the month of March at the top, where you see maximum light and maximum night, 10 plus 8 is 18. So you might think that there are less minutes in a day than there are on the solar calendar than there are on the Roman calendar, but that's not true. On Enoch's solar calendar, the time was divided into 18 hours. However, the hours were 80 minutes long, and 18 hours times 80 minutes equals 1,440 minutes. And if you look underneath the computation, you'll see 24 hours a day. That's on the Roman calendar. So the Roman calendar has 24 hours a day, and each hour is worth 60 minutes. However, when you multiply the 24 hours times the 60 minutes, that's still 1,440 minutes. So you can see that whether it's the um, solar calendar or the Roman calendar, they both have 1,440 minutes in them, but the way they are divided is different. This is why it's important that you use the solar calendar for computing your holy days. Okay, I forgot to put the labels at the top. I apologize. This is for um, showing you how the seasons transition. Well, no, not transition. Showing you how, let me think about how I'm trying to say this. Just a second. Okay, I'm back. As you can see, I just couldn't resist. I had to go back and make the changes and put those titles in that I forgot to put in previously. So you can see there are 4 seasons here now: spring, summer, fall, and winter. And this is an illustration to show you how many months are in a season. This is just a different illustration demonstrating the same thing with the hope of solidifying this in your mind, right? So if you look at spring, you'll notice there are 3 months in spring: March, April, and May. Summer, June, July, August. Fall, September, October, November. And of course, winter, December, January, February. The first month, fourth, seventh, and 10th month, they have 30 days. The second month, the fifth month, the eighth month, the 11th month, they have 30 days. But the days where the intercalary days are located are right here. The third month, the sixth month, the ninth month, and the 12th month. That's where you will find 31 days. And remember, the intercalary days are the indicators for moving from one season to another. Okay. What you're looking at is how the sun travels through the gates. You're looking at it as though a person is facing the southern sky. So the east gates on this demonstration are on the left side over here, and the western gates are on the right. Notice that When the sun goes to the sixth gate, when it rises from the east to the sixth gate, it also goes to the sixth gate to the west. When it rises in the east, in the fifth gate, it sets in the west in the fifth gate. When it rises in the fourth gate, it sets in the fourth gate. It does this for all the gates. This is where we read previously where the gates are in sequential order. The sun passes through these gates in the numbered order that you see. Notice that the spring and summer months are the higher gates, the gates that are arched very high, where the sun is further away from the earth up here. These are the spring and summer months. And when the sun is closer, this is the winter and fall months. It might be closer, but there is more night than light during these times when the sun is in these gates. But when the sun are in these gates, the higher ones, spring and summer, um, there's more sun and more night. And when the sun is in the winter gates, there's more night than there is day hours. Hope that makes sense for you. Okay. What you're looking at now is an illustration of how the spring equinox comes up over the next 6 years, starting in March 2024. So if you look at March 2024 on a Wednesday, March the 20th, that's when the spring equinox is located, is seen. March 2025, Thursday, March the 20th, the spring equinox shows up. March 2026, on the 20th, spring equinox shows up. March 2027, on the 20th, the spring equinox shows up. On March 2028, on the 19th, the spring equinox shows up. And on March 2029, the 20th, the spring equinox shows up. Okay, one thing I want to draw your attention to is this. On March the 20th, 28th, where the spring equinox is on the 19th, this is going to be sort of difficult for me to explain, but I'm going to do my best. Um, even though the equinox looks like it's showing up on the 19th, because of the way the Roman calendar shifts, it looks like it's showing up on the 19th, right? But remember, the laws of Enoch says that these positions are fixed. The positions are fixed. The laws are dynamic, are not dynamic. They are static. So the laws are fixed, and the positions of these celestial arrangements, the luminaries, these positions are fixed. So does this mean that, for example, where the spring equinox on the 2024 is on a Wednesday, it's on the 20th, but next year it's on a Thursday. It's still on the 20th. And the next year it's on a Friday, but it's still on the 20th. Are you seeing what's happening? And the following year, the 2027, the spring equinox is on a Saturday, but it's still on the 20th. So you can see how the calendar is shifting, even though the dates stay the same. Well, that's what's happening right here too. There is a shift in the calendar, and so it's one day off, but really the spring equinox is in the same position, the same location, at the same time that it has been for all the previous years. The calendar makes it show up a slightly different, but it's still the same. Okay. And when it comes to computing it, to calculating the holy days, you will see, and I think you'll better understand that this slight deviation will not throw your calendar off. And we will take a look at that illustration as we move further into the lesson. Another thing I want you to notice is these black dots are your new moons. So the new moon in March of 2024 was on the 10th. In 2025, it will be on the 29th. Um, in the following year, it's going to be on the 18th. In 2027, it's going to be on the 7th. 2028, it's going to be on the 25th. And 2029, it's going to be on the 15th. So you can see if you use the new moon for determining your holy days, your years and your months, there it's going to be sporadic. But if you're dealing with the sun, because of the laws that govern it, those laws are static. And as you can see over the years, between 2024 and 2029, the sun is fixed in that one location and it stays there, whereas the moon is all over the place. Okay? Okay. Here's another illustration I want you to see. This is dealing with the new moon. This is for the year 2024, the year that just passed. Since the solar calendar begins in March, this is where our illustration begins also. So what we're looking at are the monthly new moons for the year of 2024. So March new moon begins on the 10th. And then in April, it's on the 9th. May, it's on the 15th. June is on the 6th. July is on the 6th. August is on the 4th. September is on the 3rd. October is on the 2nd. November is on the 1st and the 30th. And December, it's on the 1st and the 30th. This is something you need to pay very, very close attention to. So watch this. From March to December, how many new moons did you count? This is just March to December. This is not for 1 year. This is March to December. Remember, there are 2 months left, January and February. We haven't counted those yet. How many do you see on the page? Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So you have 12 new moons, right, in 10 months. So if you were to use the new moon as the beginning of your months, then the end of your year should be right here in December, even though it started in March because you already have 12 new moons. Does that make sense? So the moon comes in early. The cycle of the moon is 354 days, 354, whereas the cycle of the sun is 364. The difference between the two is 10 days within a year's time. We're speaking of when we count this according to the book of Enoch. According to the book of Enoch, the rotations of the moon is 354 days, and for the sun is 364 days, and it comes in 10 days too soon. Even the book of Jubilees tells us that if you observe the moon, how it throws the calendar off. You have 12 moons here on your screen, and you don't even have 12 months yet. Let's see how many are remaining for the last 2 months. We have one in January on the 29th and one in February on the 27th. So that means if we use the moons over a year from March 2024 to February 2025, it's a total of 14 moons. That would be 14 months in a year. And remember, a year has 12 months, not 14. So I'm hoping that this demonstration adequately proves to you that we cannot use the moon for determining our holy days, our years, our months. It throws our calendar out of sync with Yahuah's. And if Yahuwah says that on the holy days, the angels are present and he will be there, Why would you want to be late for that meeting? You should do everything in your power to be present on the day that the King of the universe shows up, right? Okay. This is another illustration, me trying to demonstrate these words that we saw written in the book of Enoch. This is me illustrating those words. So this is another illustration. Right before you is a menorah, and above the menorah are the years that I plotted: 2024, 2025, 2026, and 2027. This is my illustration of a spring equinox when it is the equal day and equal night. Equal day, equal night. So in 2024, the spring equinox is on a Wednesday. Okay. In 2025, the equinox is on a Thursday. It's still on March the 20th, as I showed you in the previous slide, but it's on a Thursday. In 2026, the spring equinox is on a Friday. And in 2027, spring of 2027, the equinox is on a Saturday. Remember when Enoch says the sun comes in through the great gate, which is called the fourth gate. It's called the fourth gate. This is me surmising. The reason it's called the fourth gate, one of the reasons it's called the fourth gate is because the sun, the moon, and the stars were created on the fourth day. Now, of course, it wasn't called Wednesday, but it was called day one, day two, day three, day four, day five, day six, and then the Sabbath, the day of rest. Okay, so the sun comes in through the fourth day on the day of its creation, right? On 2025, even though it's on the 20th, it lands on a Thursday, not because the sun shifted to Thursday. No, the sun is still in the same place, but the Roman calendar, the way it operates, because the Roman calendar has 30 days, sometimes it has 31 days, sometimes it has either 28 in one of its months or 29 if it's a leap year. So the inconsistency of the days makes the calendar look like it's shifting, right? So when you're looking at the calendar and you're counting your Roman calendar, and you see it on the Thursday, you will still use Wednesday as the fourth gate, as the day that you'll begin your counting from. In the year 2026, even though it's on a Friday, you will go back 2 days right here and still use a Wednesday. That's the fourth gate, because in reality, the position of the sun hasn't moved. And when you see the spring equinox is on a Saturday in the year 2027, you'll go back 3 days, one, two, three, and you will still start from the fourth gate. Now you could say, well, if I moved my starting periods in the last 3 years, my calendar is going to be off. This you should probably already know, and that is whether you use the solar calendar or the Roman calendar, or even if you choose to use the Egyptian calendar. All calendars have a momentary shift in them. If you don't, then eventually, say like 4 or 5 years down the line, you have to add a leap week. You have to add some time to keep in sync with the way the calendar flows. So all calendars will have to have some kind of adjustment to it. If you adjust your calendar the way I'm showing you, this is the only adjustment you'll ever need to do. But we're not done yet. This is the first part. There's another part to it to balance it out on the left-hand side. So right now we have the dates going from the right, scooting back to the left because they were moving away from Wednesday. So we're moving them back over this way when we count. So if it's a 2027, we're still going to use Wednesday. If it's 2026, we're still going to use this Wednesday. If it's on Thursday in 2025, we're still going to use this Wednesday. Okay. Now let me show you on the next slide how this is going to balance out on the left side of the menorah. Okay. In 2028, the equinox is going to be on a Sunday, right? You are still going to use a Wednesday. So how many days are you going to go over? 3, going to this Wednesday. Okay. On 2029, it skips the Monday and the equinox shows up on a Tuesday. So you're going to move it over one day. Okay. But if you look at the total number of days that has been skipped over the years, you got 1, 2, 3. So you have three days that are scooting from the left to the right over 3 years. And if you can remember, let me go back to the other slide. You have 3 scooting from the right to the left. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay. 1, 2, 3. This teeter-tottering that you see is what keeps this calendar in balance. You'll never have to add anything. You'll never have to make any other adjustments other than what we are discussing right here. This keeps this calendar in balance and it keeps it in sync with Yahuwah's celestial calendar as well. I really hope that you're understanding this illustration and that it is solidifying this thing in your heart and your mind so that you'll be able to answer anyone when they ask you, why do you calculate it this way? And why do you use the solar calendar instead of the lunar calendar? And as you can see in the year 2031, it's beginning to go from the right to left again. And it continues to do this. It goes from right to left, right to left, right to left. Then it goes left to right, left to right, left to right. It's like a little seesaw and it balances itself. Just continue to plot it using the fourth gate. Now, if you ask me, why did Yahuwah choose the fourth gate for that to be the first gate that the sun comes through at the beginning of the month of the year? I don't know. Again, I believe it's because the sun, moon, and the stars were created on the fourth day. So he chose the fourth gate. That's my conclusion, but I have not been able to find an answer for that. So I don't know. Okay. And this concludes part 3. Thank you for being with me. I hope that you enjoyed the lesson. Remember, if you have any questions, please email me info@houseofshiloh.org. If you haven't already, please subscribe to be notified of future lessons. And if you like this lesson, give me a thumbs up. Shalom.